Welcome you all to the video on Lab 2 of Digital Communication and Coding Theory. In this Lab 2, we are going to discuss about the ASK band pass modulation system. So here we are going to construct a band pass communication system for the ASK symbols, which involves the ASK symbols will be carried by a carrier of high frequency. In the previous lab, we have discussed about ASK symbol transmission in baseband communication system, which do not make use of any carrier signal for it to be transmitted. So let us look at the block diagram of the baseband modulation communication system first, so that we will have a recall of the previous lab. So this is how a baseband communication system would look like, which consists of an information source, which will be connected to a baseband modulator, which is also called as pulse shaping filter, which is directly connected to the channel. We have assumed the channel to be of a very specific N type and an idealistic channel, which is giving or disrupting the information by AWGN type of noise. From the channel, the information so obtained after the channel, it is being sent across two stages of processing before we obtain the recovered bit stream. That is, we are going to pass the received signal or the waveform through a receiving filter or a correlator or a matched filter, which then provides the waveform in its sample equivalent. Using the sample, we will detect whether the sample corresponds to the symbol respectively. For the case of m is equal to 2, we are going to decide whether the sample corresponds to symbol S1 or S2. So we shall see what are all the inputs and outputs involved here. So the information source will give out a bit stream that is random ones and zeros, so on and so forth. This will be converted to the pulse shapes, which are ideally in rectangular shape. If there are two continuous ones and a zero followed by two continuous ones and two continuous zero, as per the data I have written over here. So this is an ideal pulse shape. This is an ideal pulse shape. Whereas we have other types of pulse shape which will take care of the sharp transition, that is by making use of raise cosine and root raise cosine. So this is certainly going to help us in identifying the particular amplitude for a particular bit or a symbol that I am transmitting over the channel, and it also takes care of the ISI, the intersymbol interference, when these symbols are transmitted over a channel. So pulse shaping is an important mechanism to avoid one of the distortion called as intersymbol interference, which will normally occur due to the delay incorporated by the channel itself. So pulse shaping definitely helps us in overcoming the ISI scenario. And there are many different types of pulse shaping filters, starting from rectangular filter, raise cosine, root raise cosine. Root raise cosine and raise cosine filters are characterized by their role of parameter, which the role of specified will be in the trade-off with respect to the bandwidth consumption. Whenever we are going to use a filter with sharp roll-off or a filter parameter or the roll-off nearing to 1, then the bandwidth required for the transmission of the same amount of information will be larger. Once the shaped pulses enter the channel, they get distorted. They get distorted by the noise on their amplitudes. This information is fed into the receiving filter. Here there will be two stages. The first stage the signal is going to encounter is the matched filter, or a correlator structure, which converts the incoming waveform into the sampled output, which samples at integer multiple of k into ts, where t is the symbol duration. This sampled output from the correlator will now be given as an input to the threshold comparator or the threshold detector. This threshold detector will decide whether the provided sample correspond to symbol S1 or S2 in case of ASK. Once it is converted or detected by making use of hypothesis or threshold detection, it will be again converted back to the random bit stream later. So this converted or detected bit stream can now be provided to any information sink that the user has. So this is how a normal baseband communication system would work. Now let us see what is meant by bandpass communication. So as I mentioned, the bandpass communication system is one such which makes use of carrier for the transmission of information through a very long distance. This is done as we know, the need for modulation or using the high frequency signal is because of the reason that to reduce the height of the antenna and also to be able to transmit the information to a longer distance without any repetition, without any use of repeaters in the system. Whenever these shaped pulses are to be transmitted through a very long distance, this has to undergo periodic regeneration, therefore which cannot be afforded. That can be overcome by adding the carrier to our system. So let us see where that carrier will fit in. Now coming to the bandpass communication system. So we will see after baseband modulation or pulse shaping, we are going to feed the information not directly to the channel, rather we are going to pass it through a carrier modulator or a bandpass modulator. This can also be called as up conversion. The process of converting the baseband information into the bandpass frequency, that process is called as up conversion. So the addition of the carrier will help us in fixing up the amplitudes of the symbols on the carrier, or we can vary the carrier characteristics based on the information pulses that we have. Based on the symbols that we have generated, we are going to alter the carrier amplitude based on our requirement to represent it in its upconverted or bandpass equivalent. So this bandpass modulated signal would be now centered around FC, would now be centered at FC. This signal will be sent over the channel. From the channel, the signal that is so obtained, the signal waveform or the carrier that is so obtained will be again centered around FC, centered at FC, and this will undergo the demodulation process or carrier demodulator will be there. So mostly these two phenomenons will happen something similar to your coherent detector. We are going to identify the frequency of the carrier and then we are going to remove the carrier content by multiplying the received signal with respect to the locally generated carrier, and then we transform the signal to their baseband and provide it to the next building block, that is the receiving filter on the receiver side. So again, since the transmitter side it is called as up conversion, this bandpass demodulator is also called as down conversion process. So the name itself will suggest that up conversion means we are shifting or we are pushing the signal which is centered around 0 to an upper frequency called FC, and the down conversion means pushing the signal from FC, being centered at FC, to the signal which is centered around 0, that is baseband. So now you can see that the symbol waveforms, the shaped pulses, or now the modulated symbol waveforms will now be centered at FC. After the channel, the same signal will now be centered around FC, and the symbol waveforms will get affected by EWGN noise. Once this carrier is removed, it gets converted into baseband waveform, plus noise will still be there. Now, in the next two consecutive steps, we have MF, that is matched filter, or a correlator, which converts the waveform into baseband waveform into sample values, that is called as test statics or pre-detection point ZT. This undergoes the threshold detection, which gives out the input bit stream, which was actually reconstructed. When we compare this and this, we get whether the information is correct or not. So this is what is the procedure that we follow even in the LabVIEW construction part. I hope this has given you a better idea about bandpass modulation technique. So we will come to the LabVIEW realization of the same system. So in this LabVIEW realization, we are going to do the exact process that we had showed in the previous, in this particular slide. So the first thing is, we are going to have an information source where a random bit stream is generated, that is done by MT generate bits. So this is the information source. Then that is fed into the bandpass modulator, which is MT modulate ASK. So this is baseband modulator, which is MT modulate ASK. This is going to generate ASK amplitudes, and also one of its input would be filter coefficients, and we are also going to specify how many symbols I am going to generate which is of ASK type by making use of this M value. The M value that we provide will specify how many ASK symbols will be generated. In this case, we are starting with the binary ASK mode. So the output of this modulate ASK would be the output that you have seen in the previous lab, that is the baseband modulated output or the pulse shaped output. After this, in our bandpass scenario, we need to upconvert the information to carrier frequency. That is done by the next block called as MT upconvert baseband, which has its input, one of the input as the carrier frequency that you can observe over here, where the carrier frequency is provided as an input to the upconvert block. Then we have the channel, EWGN channel, where the control parameter is EB by N0. We can simulate either a good channel scenario or a bad channel scenario. The next block after channel is the receiver section that we get. In the receiver section, the first block is the reverse process of upconversion, which is the down conversion. The block which is meant for that is called as down convert pass band. That means the signal which was in pass band or band pass is converted back to a baseband information. For this, the input is, one of the input is carrier frequency, which I have tied it to the input side carrier frequency value, and we need to provide the information about the window within which I am expecting the information, which is called as passband bandwidth. Let us discuss about this passband bandwidth. This is an important parameter. Whenever you have a message information which is centered around 0, you know that it will occupy certain bandwidth in frequency, which is 0 to W. When you shift the same frequency, when you do the upconversion process, this gets centered around FC. So this is where some 0 will be there. it will get centered around FC, and the upper frequency will be FC plus W and the lower frequency would be FC minus W. So the total bandwidth of this signal on the receiver side would be 2W. Whenever I want to reconstruct the information on the receiver side, I need this entire information to reconstruct the complete information. Therefore, the window within which I am capturing the total information is 2W, and this is what we call it as pass band bandwidth. Pass band bandwidth. So this is a necessary information to be provided for the down converter so that it will get to know where actually it should look for how larger period it should look for the message across around the center frequency FC. So therefore passband bandwidth is a necessary information on the receiver side to provide the window within which my receiver has to look for the information. The next block on the receiver structure is demodulate ASK. Demodulate ASK we have already seen in the previous lab. The input to this is a complex waveform, the first input. The second input is we require ASK system parameters reference, which we are going to provide it from the input side. And then we need the information about the matched filter coefficients, which was previously generated on the transmitter section, on the generate filter parameter. The output of this is directly going to give you the output bit stream. Now let us go to the LabVIEW window and construct this particular communication system one by one. So I will start with a new VI. I have already created this entire communication system, but for the convenience, let us start off with a fresh VI. So as we know, the LabVIEW will be consisting of two windows. One is the front panel window and block diagram window. In the block diagram is the space where we are going to code our systems, or the any type of coding will be done on the block diagram window. So here we are going to construct our ASK band pass communication system. So the first what we require is the information source. To select the information source, that is random bitstream generation, right click on the block diagram window. You will see an RF communication palette. Pin this particular palette, drag and place on your window. You will see modulation. Click on modulation. You will see two types of modulation, analog and digital. Since we are realizing the digital modulation schemes, click on digital. You want the information source first. So go to the second row, first column. You will see empty generate bits. Click on that. Place it on your block diagram. You see the name as empty generate bits. PN sequence. PN sequences means it is a pseudo noise sequence. Let us first label the block. Every time it is necessary to label the block, because while studying you might require the name of this VI. If this is not known, it will look blank, which means you may not be able to identify what block you have added. So for our convenience, let us label each and every block that we are going to add. For this, the first input, whenever I want to know what are all the inputs and outputs for a particular block in LabVIEW, press Ctrl H. You will see a brief help option where you will see the description of the input and output pins for a given VI block. So the first input is total bits. The total bits this block can generate by default is 128. I can change this. Since I will change during the runtime, I'll create a control for this particular input. So it could be 128, it could be 100, it could be 200, so on and so forth. Then we need to specify the PN sequence order. So as we know, the PN sequence, the random bit streams are generated by a polynomial or an equation which has some order, which means it is going to give us the length of the shift register that is used to generate a random bit stream. In this case, the 9 will specify, the default value 9 will specify it requires at least 8 flip-flops, which constitutes shift register, linear feedback shift register, in order to construct the random bit stream. So for this, you can create a constant and leave it, or you can also create a control. That is totally up to you. Since I am not going to change this value of 9, I have just created a constant. You can also create a control. Then next we have the seed-in value. The seed-in value is going to help us in specifying the initial content of our linear feedback shift register. For this, I am going to create a control because I will change the initial value of the shift register whenever it is necessary. So I have created a control. Now the output of this block is going to give us the random bit stream, that is random ones and zeros. So you can see the first output is the output bit stream. So to look at the output bit stream, I need to create an indicator. Always to observe an output, we need to create an indicator. So right click on that particular output and go to create, click on indicator. So you will see something like this block. Okay, always whenever you connect the wire to one of the block in as an input, you can see the arrow mark will be on the left side, which means it is accepting the value. Here on this side, you can see that I'm providing this value as an input, which means this value is the output for this block. Thereby the arrow mark is on the right hand side. Okay, I hope you got the clarity about this. We shall move further. This is the information source for generating the random bit stream. So now, according to our previous block diagram, we saw after the information source, we need to have the ASK baseband modulator. To create the baseband modulator, we are currently under digital palette. Since I have pinned this palette, you also follow the same procedure to pin the palette, and then you can go about. Since I'm only dealing with the digital schemes, you can always be present on the digital palette itself. So inside the digital palette, to create a baseband modulator, there is an option called as modulation. So in the second row, last column, fourth column, you have modulation. Click on modulation. You have empty modulate ASK block. Click and place it on the block diagram. Label the block first. Let us look at the inputs and outputs for this block. So the first input is the input bit stream, which I have already generated from the previous block. I'll just rename this output bit stream. It was named previously, but I'm renaming it as an input because it is going to be an input to our entire communication system. So this helps me in identifying which is input, which is output, only for our convenience. So I'm just going to provide this input bit stream from the previous block, which is ones and zeros. Then next, I need to specify some of the parameters related to the modulation scheme that I am choosing to simulate. The modulation technique that I have chosen to simulate in this particular experiment is amplitude shift keying, where I am going to alter the amplitude of the carrier to convey the information to the receiver side. So for the ASK system, I need to mention how many symbols I'm generating and what are all the amplitudes that I need to assign for a particular symbol for them to get transmitted, for them to get shaped also in the baseband modulator. So for that sake, in order to mention how many symbols and what are all the amplitudes of the symbols, I need to generate the parameters. These parameters cannot be provided by just right clicking and create a control or constant will not help us in any way. This will require another block to be present. So you can see ASK system parameter is a cluster of two elements, which means it will accept the two different types of information. Let us see what are all the two information. One is samples per symbol. The other one is symbol map. Symbol map means what are all the amplitudes that it needs to generate to represent the symbols. For this case, and I need to specify how many symbols it has to generate. For this case, I am going to show you how to get this ASK system parameters. So we are currently under the modulation palette. Click on the up arrow mark. You will come back to the main digital palette. There is an option called as utilities in the first row, last column. Click on utilities. The first block under utilities will be generate system parameters. So this particular block is going to help us in generating the system parameters for all different types of digital modulation scheme. That's the reason why when we select and place, by default it will have the generating FSK system parameters by default, and it is of type M. So it is going to have M. It is going to generate the parameters for FSK modulation scheme. But whatever we are coding it is for ASK system. Therefore, click on this drop down option. You will see empty generate ASK system parameters. Click on that. Okay. So now we have made it very specific to our requirement. Right click, label the block. Okay. Now we will see the description of this block. What are all the inputs and outputs? The input that is required here is the samples per symbol. Whenever we are going to do any simulation, in a simulation scenario, it always works as a samples, which means whenever we are going to plot any waveform or generate any waveform, it should collect the minimum number of samples to represent one particular waveform during a time period, during the mentioned time period. This is meant for even, you can say, curve fitting. If you know what it means, try to figure out what is curve fitting. So therefore this will require some minimum number of samples to represent a particular symbol. By default its value is 16, and this value that you are going to provide will also tell accurately, like if your amplitude is 1, how accurately, how many points are involved in saying that particular sample has an amplitude 1. It is going to specify. 16 means it is moderate. If you go to 32 samples, you are very accurately saying that the chosen symbol has an amplitude equal to 1 or 0 or 0.33 or 0.66, so on and so forth. So by default its value is 16. So let us not worry much about this. I'm just creating a constant here. I will not change this value during the runtime. That means while running the code. Therefore I'm fixing it up at 16. And then I need to specify how many ASK symbols I'm going to generate. This value is usually given in powers of 2. That is 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, so on. So this value can be changed during the runtime. Therefore, I am going to right click and create a control. So MASK, the default value is 2. The value that will be given in the braces will be the default value. The output of this particular block is ASK system parameters. This happens to be the second input for our empty modulate ASK. So now let us connect the output of this block to empty modulate ASK input here. Okay. Then coming to empty modulate ASK, The third input is the rate at which I am generating these symbols. I need to specify how many symbols I am going to transmit per second. So this is given by the input called as symbol rate. Right click, create a control for this also. This is just a simple number. Coming to the fourth input, we need to specify the pulse shaping method that we are choosing to shape the information before being sending it to the channel. That happens to be in baseband scenario, or what pulse shaping I require before I provide that as an input to our carrier modulator. I need to specify that. This also cannot be given directly. The information involves too many parameters because I need to specify the pulse shaping filter type. I need to specify what is the role of, if my chosen filter parameter is something like rectangular filter or root raised cosine or raised cosine or Gaussian filter. I need to specify the role of the chosen filter also. So this involves, as we know, many different inputs which cannot be provided by just right clicking and creating a control or a constant. For this also I need a separate block which takes all the information that I mentioned just now. So where to find that block which generates the pulse shaping filter coefficients is, we are currently under the utility palette. In the same utilities palette, you will find the third block called as MT generate filter coefficient. Drag and place it on the block diagram. Right click, label the block first. So now we have already opened the help menu. Let us see what are all the inputs and outputs. So the first input is, we need to mention what type of modulation technique we are simulating. So it is at the top, the pin is at the top, you can see there. You can even see the position of the input. So right click, create a constant. I'm not changing this modulation technique because I am fixed with the ASK simulation. So therefore I'm creating a constant, and by default it will be on FSK. Click on that, go to ASK. Now let us see the other inputs. We need to mention the type of the filter that I want to simulate. So right click, this I am going to change during the runtime. Therefore I'll create a control. Then the next input for this is the number of samples, the pulse shaping samples per symbol. So like how we specified the number of samples per symbol here, similarly I also need to specify the number of samples per symbol for pulse shaping. So I'll create a constant because I will not change this value, and default value is 16. Connect, and the fourth input is matched samples per symbol, which will also have the default value as 16. Therefore I can tie the information, I can connect the input for the matched samples per symbol along with the pulse shaping samples per symbol. Coming to the fifth input, it is the last input for this particular block, which is called as filter parameter. The other name for this filter parameter is the roll off factor. So this roll off factor is a variable entity which can take up any value between 0 and 1. You can see that it accepts a double valued digit, and it can take decimal. That means whenever we name it as a DBL or double valued information, then it can take a decimal value anywhere between 0 and 1. Therefore this is a variable and I'm going to change during the runtime. Therefore I'm creating a control over here. So these are the inputs to generate the filter coefficient. You can see the output. The first output is the pulse shaping filter coefficient, which is used on the transmitter side. The second output, matched filter coefficient, will be used for the receiver section. So whenever we are going to make use of matched filter or a correlator, Usually we go with, in this simulation, we go with the matched filter realization. Therefore, these filter coefficients will be necessary to reconstruct our pulses on the receiver side. So let us consider the transmitter section coefficients. So which is the first output pulse shaping filter coefficients. I'm just going to drag this output and connect it as an input to our fourth input of our MT modulate ASK. So this completes the baseband modulator section or the transmitter section. As such, if you see the output of this modulate ASK, if you connect it to the graph part, graph representation, then you will see the pulse shaped output on the graph. Now we will construct the channel part, or we are going to go with band pass modulation actually. So let me finish off with the baseband construction, then I will come up with the band pass modulation. So in the baseband, I have connected all the transmitter section. Now the next part of our communication in baseband is the channel. So where to find the channel? We are currently on the utilities palette. Press the up arrow mark. You will come back to the main digital palette. In the digital palette, you will see the impairments, one of the palette called as impairments, which is going to have different types of impairments which are available for digital signals. Click on that impairment. The first type of distortion is MT add AWGN, which is going to help us in simulating the channel of the type AWGN. So label this block, drag in place and label this block. Let us see the inputs and outputs of this block. So here there is already an help option. I need to provide the input complex waveform. For the modulate ASK, the output is an output complex waveform, and AWGN block requires the input complex waveform. So the output of this will be given as an input to the MT add AWGN. Second input for this block is samples per symbol, which is 16. You already have 16 somewhere, just connect it over there, which is samples per symbol. So the connection is over. If you are not able to see the connection, just right click on this and clean up wire. You will see the two connections that are happened. Then we shall click on the block to see the third input. The third input for this is the bits per symbol, which is not necessary for us. Let us not worry about bits per symbol because we are only giving m is equal to 2 as of now. Then EB by N0 value I need to specify. This is a parameter which helps us in simulating a good channel scenario and a bad channel scenario by varying the signal to noise power or the signal to noise ratio. Therefore, I am going to go with the fourth input, that is EB by N0, and create a control here in order to simulate good channel and a bad channel. Now, all the inputs to this block are over. The output of this block would be output complex waveform, which are affected by the noise on the ratio EB by N0. Now, the channel construction is over. We want to construct the receiver section. To construct the baseband receiver, what we need to do? We need to directly go with the baseband demodulator. Where to find the baseband demodulator? I was currently on this impairment palette. Click on the up arrow mark. You will come back to the digital main palette. Go to demodulation. And then you will find an MT demodulate ASK. This is a specific block meant for ASK modulation, which is going to help us in the demodulation process of ASK symbols. Click and place it on the block diagram. Let me place this palette aside. Now the job of this palette, as of now it is over, so I'm just closing it. Right click label the block. Let us see the inputs for this. The input for this particular block is input complex waveform, ASK system parameters, matched filter coefficients, which all of these three main inputs are already available with us. So let us connect them. So the first one is input complex waveform, which is obtained from the channel and directly given to the input of the first input of this block. And ASK system parameters I have already generated here. So I am just tying up the output of generate system parameters to the second input of demodulate ASK block. Then comes the matched filter coefficient, which happens to be the second output of generate filter coefficients block. So I'm just dragging the output of that and then connecting to the matched filter coefficients input of empty demodulate ASK. So the connection is over. At the output, you can see recovered complex waveform, but we are not interested in the complex waveform. We want to actually analyze the output bit stream. Therefore, I want to analyze the output bit stream. I'm right clicking and creating an indicator. So I want to observe the output. Therefore, whenever I'm observing the output, we always create an indicator. So this indicator helps us in obtaining the zeros and ones at the output of a demodulator. So this system, this happens to be the baseband communication system in ASK. Control A, Control U. If you press, it will align itself in the given window. So this is the entire construction of our baseband communication system. Let us come to the front panel of this front panel view. So here we can see the input bit stream, which is the input to the communication system, output bit stream, which is the output obtained after demodulate ASK. Here we have total bits generated. The seed-in value we normally go with -1. Filter parameter is going to help us in fixing up the roll-off. Let me position these things according to the input wherever it is provided. So pulse shaping filter type we need to specify. These two can be clubbed together. This is the channel information that I need to simulate the channel type that I am simulating, that is good channel or bad channel. Normally the symbol rate is kept at 20 kilohertz. You can better to choose in terms of kilohertz. Why? Because if the number of symbols that you are generating or the symbol rate, if it is too low for the bits that you have generated, it may cause an error during the run of your LabVIEW code. So therefore, it is suggested to have a larger symbol rate transmission. And we are currently analyzing the binary ASK modulation technique. So once these are over, we can add few graphs to analyze the given system that we have constructed. So I'm just adding few graph palettes under the silver section. Right click. You can either go with graph palette in the modern section or go to silver section. Under the silver section, you will find graph again. In that, go and select waveform graph. Within the braces, there is silver again. This gives you the white background. Therefore, it will be visibly, you can find out the waveforms easily rather than with the black background. So I am assigning all these graphs one by one with the type of input that I need to provide. The first waveform graph that I will be plotting it for the input bit stream. This is going to help me in plotting the random bits that are generated from the PN sequence block. Then I am going to add another graph for the pulse shaping filter. Let me name it later. Then I am going to plot another graph for the pulse shape modulated output, that is baseband modulated bit stream. and then I will add one more graph for the reconstructed waveform or the reconstructed bit stream which is obtained at the output. I'll paste one more graph for the reconstructed bit stream. Now let me rename these graphs. So the smaller one will be for pulse shaping filter. This one will be for the pulse shaped waveform or baseband modulated waveform. Last one will be for the reconstructed bit stream, and then we can have one more plot in order to visualize the effect of AWGN channel on the transmitted bit stream, that is pulse shaped bit stream. Whenever you pass this waveform into the channel, what is going to happen, that we can visualize, that is received waveform after channel. So these are some of the waveforms that we will require to observe on the analysis, for the analysis. So let us connect these waveforms which are not connected. So even if we run the code, even if we run the code like this, you will not see any output. That is because of the reason that these are connected and these are not connected. So let us connect this waveform graphs. Double click on them, you will go to block diagram. So input bit stream should be connected to the output of PN sequence. We have this, we will go one by one. Pulse shaping filter should be connected at the output of generate filter coefficient. Okay. Then we have the next pulse shaped waveform or the baseband modulated waveform, which will be available at the output of MT modulate ASK, the bit that is before the channel. Then we have received waveform after channel. So this should get connected after the channel and at the input of the receiver. Then we have reconstructed bit stream, which is obtained at the output of demodulate ASK. So now if we are going to run, now I'll just select all and press Ctrl U to align them properly. So we will go to the front panel and run the code. So now we will see the waveforms for the type of pulse shape that I have chosen, and for the EB by N0 or the signal to noise power that we have specified, and we can also see the reconstructed bit stream. Either we can compare the waveform or we will compare the bits, either one of it, or you can have both. That is totally left to our choice. If we go with the better channel scenario, which is around 40 dB, this will give us an exact replica of the transmitted information on the receiver front end. So this will ensure the proper detection of the transmitted bit stream. So with 1 bit delay or 1 bit being eaten away, you can see all other bits will match for the transmitted or given input bit stream. So this is the simple ASK baseband modulation. But in this experiment, in today's experiment, we are extending this baseband modulation along with the addition of the carrier. So the modification that we need to do in the construction of the baseband to bandpass system is we need to add an up convert block and a down convert block. So after this modulate ASK, let us remove this wire. After this channel, it will not directly go to demodulate ASK. So let us remove this line, that is wire. Control B. Let us connect these two waveform graphs later. Now, after modulate ASK, as per our the block diagram that I showed previously, we are going to have an up conversion block which is going to shift the baseband information to the carrier frequency. Now, where to add the carrier, how to add the carrier is right click, go to RF communication, first pin this palette, you will see modulation, click on modulation, you will see analog and digital, click on digital. Then on the modulation palette, inside this digital there is modulation palette, click on that, you will see a block called as empty upconvert baseband. So this block will help me in upconverting the baseband information to a carrier frequency. So click on this upconvert block, place it after empty modulate ASK. Now first label this block, press Ctrl H to look at the information about the inputs and outputs for this block. So let us look at the input. This block accepts the baseband waveform in its complex mode. Okay, so here you can see the upconvert baseband. In the option you have, it is real, it is accepting the real information. So click on that. Since my output is of the type complex, click on the drop down option, select empty upconvert baseband, which is in the braces it has complex. Click on that. Connect the output of your output complex waveform to the upconvert baseband input, first input. Then you have the second input, that is carrier frequency. So I need to specify to which carrier frequency I need to upconvert. So just right click on this, in this particular input I can change this carrier frequency, therefore I can create the control. I'm going to create a control here. So the connections for upconvert is over. Once I have upconverted and added the carrier information, this signal will go as an input to the channel, and after the channel I need to remove the carrier by making use of a process called as down conversion. Now where to find the down conversion? Here I am currently under modulation palette. Click on the up arrow mark, go to demodulation palette. There you can find the one of the block in the second row, third column, as empty down convert pass band. So that means your current signal is in pass band, and that pass band information or band pass information should be down converted. So click on this empty down convert pass band, right click, label the block first. I'm pressing Ctrl H. You can see the detailed information of input and output. One of the input is the waveform. You can see again in the braces the information it is accepting should be in real, it's what it is saying, but the output of the channel is in complex mode. So therefore click on this and select the complex mode. Then you will see it changes here to complex waveform. From the channel you're not going to directly give it to demodulate, but rather you're going to give it to the down convert pass band, which removes the carrier content from the received signal. Next input is the carrier frequency. Carrier frequency I have already provided in the upconvert block. I'll give the same information. Then the third input that I need to specify is the pass band bandwidth. So this is a particular input, as I said, where I need to mention the window within which I am trying to visualize my received signal information. So I need to specify the window size, which is called as pass band bandwidth. To give this input, I am just creating a right click, create control, because whenever I change the input bit stream, pardon me, I just created for carrier frequency itself. I'll just undo and I'll just go to that particular input pin. The input pin here is the passband bandwidth. Let me select the passband bandwidth. This, right click, create control. So now the passband bandwidth is connected. So this helps me in identifying the bandwidth within which I can expect the incoming signal. So the output of this down convert passband is the down converted waveform, which is in complex mode. This is given as an input to your demodulate ASK. Now this completes the entire band pass modulation communication system, or the band pass communication system. Just select all, press Ctrl U, so that now you will see all the blocks being assigned exactly and are rearranged. You will see the bit generation, empty modulate ASK, which is baseband modulation, up convert block adding the carrier, the channel which is going to simulate the AWGN channel. Then we have down convert, which is meant for removing the carrier content. Then demodulate ASK for converting the waveform to sample and then detect the ones and zeros. And these are the indicators. Now we have disconnected few of the graphs, the two graphs, which is pulse shaped waveform, which is the baseband modulated output, and the received signal after the channel. Now I'm just going to rename this. I'm not going to look at the pulse shaped waveform, rather I'm going to observe the band pass modulated waveform. So now this will have the carrier frequency within it. Therefore, this will be the waveform we had drawn for ASK signal. You can observe it on this waveform graph. So this is the band pass modulated waveform, which will be consisting of the carrier signal. And this is the received waveform after the channel. So this is going to help us in visualizing the effect of channel on the carrier modulated signal. Control A, Control U. So this will arrange the blocks. Now we shall see the outputs. So this is the this will give you the band pass modulated waveform. You can, instead of input bit stream, instead of plotting this, let me add another waveform graph which is going to show us the pulse shaped graph, pulse shaped output, so that it will be easier for us to compare the band pass output with the baseband output. I'm just connecting one more graph, waveform graph. This is to observe the baseband modulated waveform. I'm just reconnecting this to the output of empty modulate ASK. So I'll come to the window, front panel, then run the code. See here, it is throwing an error because of the reason that the bandwidth must be strictly greater than 0. That means I have not given an input. Though I have created a control, here I have not given an input for this. I need to give some of the inputs I have missed out. Let us see where are those inputs. You can see here the carrier frequency, by default it will be at 0. So I have not provided any carrier frequency, nor I have provided any passband bandwidth. Therefore it threw me an error. So carrier should be at least twice larger than the symbol rate. So I'm just going to provide it to be 40K. And then passband bandwidth should be at least twice greater than the symbol rate again. So I'm also going to give the passband bandwidth as 40K. Run this. Now we will see the output here. So the first waveform that you are seeing is the baseband modulated waveform. This here, whatever we are seeing, this is the band pass modulated waveform. So let me zoom this, and I'm going to plot it for a very short duration so that you can see the sine wave or the carrier being, see here, the carrier sinusoidal carriers are being placed wherever ones are there. Wherever zeros are present, no carrier is sent. Again, there is a one continuous 4 ones. So there are 8 waveforms. Since I have given the carrier frequency as twice larger than the symbol rate, one symbol will be represented by 2 cycles of the carrier. Wherever there is 0, there is nothing, no voltage of the carrier is transmitted. So this is exact the waveform of your ASK band pass signal. Now I have simulated the scenario for a good channel. So let us come to the received waveform after the channel. I'll just reset this timing to observe the entire waveform in one go. So the received waveform after the channel is almost same as the transmitted one because there is no noise. It is a good channel scenario, and the reconstruction of the information is also good. That we can observe over here. You can see there 5 consecutive ones can be observed after 8 bits. In case of band pass modulation, on the reconstruction side, you will see some delay because this involves the carrier and it undergoes the channel distortion. So there will be normally for the seed-in value of -1, normally you will have 8 bits of delay in the mapping of the bit stream. After 8 bits of zeros, you will see the next consecutive bits will be exactly matching with the input bits. So here you can see after 8 zeros, next 5 bits are ones, which is same as the first 5 bits. Then next it will be followed by 5 zeros on the receiver side, similar to the input consecutive 5 zeros, followed by 4 ones, followed by 4 ones, 0, 0, followed by 5 ones and 5 ones. So like this, after first 8 bits for a seed-in value of -1, you will see the input being replicated after the 8 bits of delay. So this is a good channel scenario. Similarly, we can also simulate it for a bad channel. For m is equal to 2 case, the bad channel is somewhere around 3 dB. When we go to m is equal to 4 and m is equal to 8, even if you provide EB by N0 as 10 dB, it will be a bad channel because of the reason that signal to noise ratio is not sufficient to distinguish the symbols. I'm just running the code to show the bad channel scenario. There is no change on the transmitter section. Now you can see I cannot really make out the sine waveforms, and you can see the zeros are not zeros. Ones are somewhere around 4, 2. Now the amplitude has completely changed. Now let us try to compare the bit streams. Let us leave the first 8 bits, as I know they are nothing but the delay. After first 8 zeros, you can see the very first bit is 0, which is not so, followed by 4 ones. Okay, there are 4 ones, but next it should be followed by 5 zeros where there is only 1 0, and followed by only 2 ones where there should be 4 ones. So the entire bit stream has got distorted. That means this particular signal or the obtained received waveform is not reliable to be reconstructed. In order to say that it is not reliable to be reconstructed, we need to do the IQ plot. This particular part of IQ plot, and we need to come across one more observation parameter, which is eye diagram. This we shall see during the lab session. Hopefully this has given you an idea about constructing both baseband, which happened to be the recap of the previous lab session, and also we have seen how to add the carrier information to the same baseband communication system. So this is it with respect to the video for this particular lab session. So please prepare for the same for the coming lab. Happy learning. Thank you for watching this video.